Do you remember this song over here? Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Or was it off to home I go?
Home from work we go.
Do I remember it wrong? Or is this another Mandela effect? Or do you remember the Queen saying mirror, mirror on the wall? Or did she really say magic mirror on the wall?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
There's an even bigger secret to Snow White, and this is gonna make you see Snow White in a way you've never seen her before. And I'm not talking about how she was this guy's favorite movie that Disney ever made. Follow me on this journey into Disney's classic, Snow White, because I'm about to show you that Snow White actually died. As far as the saying, it's off to work we go, it's not actually another case of the Mandela effect. They sang this song going home,
Hi ho, it's home from work we go.
and then they sang this song on their way to work.
Hi ho, it's off to work we go.
It's easy to remember the it's off to work we go part because it flows better in the song than it's off to home I go. And by the time they sing It's Off to Work We Go, we have settled into the movie and are familiar with all the characters. As far as the mirror goes though, maybe this was actually a Mandela effect. Cause I remember mirror, mirror on the wall, how about you? But what's this about Snow White actually being dead? This is the meat and potatoes of why we're here today. This theory evolves around the prince and not Snow White. Well, a little bit Snow White, since she's dead. Now, as far as the credits go, you won't even see the prince up there, regardless of the fact that there are only 11 humans in the entire movie, including the 7 dwarfs. 7-Eleven. But the prince was voiced by Harry Stockwell. That doesn't matter much except for his last name is Stockwell. Well, the first time that Snow White ever sees the prince, it's after she makes her wish into the wishing well.
Oh, okay. Oh, you crazy.
Okay, now that I triggered half of you, no, I don't think this has any type of Easter egg in it, and no, it has nothing to do with the story today. I just felt like triggering somebody. Now let's point out what we actually know in the movie. The Queen's huntsman almost killed Snow White, but we know in the end that he showed her mercy and she escaped.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
When the Queen found out that Snow White wasn't actually dead, she decided to kill Snow White herself. But the attempted assassination from her huntsman already failed, so she didn't want to take any chances of failing again. So she double checks the spell book only to find out that there's a loophole in the spell, and that one loophole could actually save Snow White's life. So then why isn't she worried about the one thing that can break the curse?
No fear of that.
And why is she only worried about the 7 dwarves even though she never met them?
No fear of that. The dwarfs will think she's dead.
She probably knew of their existence because she learns of everything from the mirror.
Snitches get stitches.
So it would make sense that she would know about the good-looking prince hanging out in front of her castle, in front of her well. Perhaps when the Queen gives her the apple, that's why she stresses it's a wish so much.
It's a magic wishing apple.
Because she saw what happened at the well with Snow White and her wish.
I'm wishing.
And if she married the prince, she would become a queen. So it's safe to assume that the Queen knew what the natural progression would have been if those two would have got together, but she still only mentioned the dwarves as the only ones to break the spell. And she didn't worry about them because they will think she's dead and bury her alive.
The dwarfs will think she's dead. She'll be buried alive.
This is a family-friendly movie? So basically she's setting up the dwarves to unknowingly kill Snow White and keep her hands clean of the situation. But then what about the prince? Why isn't he a threat? Probably because right after the well, she probably had her huntsman capture the prince for her, and that's why he was in the chamber in the first place to get his next assignment. So the Queen actually already killed the prince before she even went after Snow White. And then we get to see what's left of him right here. That's why later on when the Queen is giving Snow White the apple, when Snow White confesses she likes somebody, the Queen doesn't seem to be shocked or worried about the spell being broken.
Perhaps there's someone you love.
Well, there is someone.
I thought so.
Because she knows where the prince is at, and that he's probably not going to be saving her anytime soon. And up until this very point, where was the last place that we saw the prince? By the well. And back then, they didn't have running water, so if you were thirsty, you would go to the well for a drink of water because you're thirsty. And what does the queen say when she passes this skeleton?
Thirsty? Have a drink.
Keep in mind, at this very moment, she still has Snow White on the mind. She just got done making the potion. So Prince Charming went to the well to get a drink of water, and Snow White ran away from him because she's scared of boys, and he ended up dying in the hands of the queen from dehydration. When the queen is en route to off the princess, we see buzzards, which are also a known symbol of death because they are known for eating dead carcasses. Then you need to look at the casket. If you look closer, you can see that the entire lid is made up of glass with no air holes. Remember, Snow White is in a death sleep, so she's not really dead, she's sleeping. Popular science says it would take 5.5 hours before all the oxygen in a coffin was consumed if someone was buried alive. Clearly, the prince didn't show up until long after she ran out of air. The narration even confirmed in her death, not in her sleep, and the casket was closed for at least an entire winter, trapping her soul inside. And when did they open the casket? When the prince showed up. And when the prince joined her, the two souls could ride off into the sunset with the castle in the sky. The castle that looks like no castle here on Earth, but it does look a lot like a castle that would be in heaven or their afterlife. So next time you're visiting a Disney park, if you see Snow White, you might be looking at a ghost. Speaking of death, did you know Pixar killed one of their longest lasting traditions? Watch this right now and see what that tradition was and how they killed it.